Hi, I'm Keith with Anesthesia. I'm here to give some training on the Thermal Core Rapid Infuser. So this main unit is in the closet across the hallway from the anesthesia workspace there. And you can get these two boxes, which are the components and the reservoir, inside the anesthesia office. Turn to the right. They're on the back, top, left, and right. The reservoir here is easy to spot. It's a clear container, pretty big box. And then this here is the component cartridge. It comes in this box here, inside of a clamshell. And then don't forget the patient line is underneath that little secret trap door. So this is the first start here. This is how this comes. So once we get the unit here, we'll want to power it on. It's a real quick little 1 second hold the power button here. It will turn on, do a little analyzing of itself. You do want to make sure this is plugged in. It does have a battery life, it's only 30 minutes, but the heating unit will not operate without it being plugged in. So if we're giving blood and everything, what it's usually for, we need it plugged in. So there we go, it's doing its quick little analyzer. We can go ahead and take off this component protector disc. This is not the cartridge that we need. So we take this red switch here, you have to flip it all the way forward to disengage. This thing is just hangs on, we have them all zip tied just to protect the component when we're not in use. So now we'll come over here, grab the cartridge, grab it here. Everything is color coded to connect with the reservoir and the patient line. So just be aware of this here is the pump roller system. So just open this trap door. The biggest problem with this is to have the switch in the middle to load. All the way forward to let the previous disc fall off, but in the middle to load. It should be one-handed loading system here. If I can get it to go in there, okay? And then give it a good tug back. Now we will feed this. Oh, apologies. All right, there we go. So now next we want to feed this roller system all the way in there before we shut this door, and that way the line won't be crimped or anything. And then now we're ready to get the reservoir over here. So the reservoir, kind of like a ponytail, hair to the back of the system, and this just slides in this loading tray here. And you hear a nice little chirp there, it's clicked in. Now everything is color coded and size oriented for easy connection. So the big blue to big blue here. You hear nice connectors there as well. The yellow line to the yellow. This is just a lure lock into here. So I've got an extra attachment here. There we go. Try not to lose these. And the patient line coming straight out of here, red to red. There we go. Now we're ready to load some fluid on into the system. Make sure this is at a good height here. So this is capable of loading 5 bags at one time into the system here. And this here has 2 filters, a larger filter and then the micron filter. Go through all this here in just a second. For priming, we want to have at least about 200 to 300 milliliters into the reservoir before we start the priming of the system. Now this thing will go pretty fast draining in there, so keep an eye here, fill it up with a good 200-300, and then we'll clamp it off because usually we want to give blood, so we don't want a whole liter of fluid in there before we give blood. So let that go up. And we should be good right about there. Clamp that off. Next we'll come to the front here. We have the prime button flashing at us. So we'll hit the prime. It is now, we'll make sure everything is open as well, but now it is loading the cartridge and priming the system there. Takes a quick little countdown here. All right, so now it is all the cartridge is all primed. Now we just need to prime the patient line. We can just do that with another little prime here. If you hit the button, you'll see it is now coming down the line. Make sure everything is open, and we have water here. So we can go all the way till we have no more air bubbles left. And as simple as clamping this, the machine senses the back pressure and will stop it. Now we are ready to load that to the patient line. You want to have a large bore IV, at least like a 14 gauge something, because this thing really has some pressure behind it. We prefer like the central lines, but anything 14, maybe 16s, to really get some of the good fluid on fast. So now,
how does this get connected to the
this
patient?
is just a simple little lure lock that will go right like a regular IV line. So,
Okay.
Yep, right to the catheter there. Other than that, now we are ready to go. So let me just keep moving for fluid in there, pretending this is now blood that we have. So now we can just have this start. So if we just press the start button at its basal rate, it is set to 120 milliliters per hour. And now we have different bolus settings you can hit here with a simple click. 100 milliliter bolus, it gives it at 500 milliliters per minute, so a good sized bolus. And you would hit that and then start. It will now give a bolus of 100 milliliters real quick. You can always stop at any time, and you have different quick bolus options. To switch between all your rates, you have a slow milliliters per hour here and rapid milliliters per minute. So this thing can go as slow as 10 milliliters per hour, as fast as like 1,000 milliliters per minute. So it can really get some fluid in there. It's just as simple as clicking which one you want. Up and down here, this is your selected, and then it'll go, and this is what it's actually giving. So you can have a little pressure alarms here if it's sensing a lot of pressure going into, say, a smaller IV or into an older patient that doesn't have really good veins. It might not be delivering what you have selected. So you just gotta keep an eye on that. It usually shouldn't be an issue. But that's about it. The other components here is you can change to the pressure alarms. So you can either deliver at 100 millimeters mercury or 300, depending again on patient and IV settings. Other than that, some different things about the system. These here are an air ventilation. This is a filter here in case we have a cell saver that can return blood to the filter, and that will just return here. I think this is the vent. This is for other products if you don't want them filtered. So you can put anything through here except for like really the cryo and platelets. We don't want them filtered, but I would probably give that through a different line and just use this concentrated for blood so there's no mix-up. Let's see, there is also a recirc here button. So if you have had blood sitting in, this is the button right here. So if we have the recirculation button, if you're having blood sitting here that you had to kind of stop giving the infusion and it's sitting here, it's getting cold, clotting up a little bit, you hit the recirc, it will circulate it through here and back to this return line to get refiltered and rewarmed. Let's see, other than that, this does have its own air trapping mechanism that will fill up here, and it will self-regulate and breathe off all air bubbles. So there really, once you start this, there shouldn't be any issue with air getting entrained into the line. They're pretty common sense use. They will tell you on the screen if there's any errors occurring. You can troubleshoot from there. It'll let you know if there's clamped at the beginning on which line. It's pretty smart and user-friendly. So there is one thing here, is there is another lure lock here. Now this is more for off-gassing than actually pushing of medications, because if this is hooked up to the patient line and it's going at a pretty adequate speed, this will blow a syringe back at you if it's going. So I wouldn't recommend giving medications through here, even though it is possible in kind of a lure lock system as well. Other than that, do you have any other questions?
I do not.
Well, it was pretty quick, rapid get through for a video, but if you have any questions, feel free to come and contact me.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.